So what are the telltale signs of spiritual bypassing? Well, they're obvious, really. First of all, a lack of grounding, and also in the body experiences. You know, you see a lot of people who they pretend they're not their body and so forth and so on, and they have all these dreamy concepts. You know, I've had people tell me before that they've meditated and they travel through the universe, and you know they're lying, but you don't have the heart to tell them. This is a lack of grounding. You know, first of all, meditation is not about that. You know, another sign is also the way that a lot of people cling to New Age misinterpretations of oneness, you know, which usually is superimposed onto certain Eastern spiritual paths as Advaita Vedanta, as I said to you before. We see this a lot. You know, a lot of people misinterpret what oneness actually means. And people are going around saying everything is one, and they don't really understand what oneness means, what unity means. That state of consciousness that is meditative, that is unified, they don't understand that. And these lead to, you know, these spiritual bypassing signs that we're talking about lead to people parroting phrases that we're all really common with, which, you know, I'll tell you a few of them. First of all, don't take it personally. It's just your ego. Whatever bothers you about someone is really only about you. That's a classic. This too shall pass. And last but not least, it's all just an illusion. You know, we've heard all of these before, okay? And usually people use these phrases in the completely wrong context and at the wrong time. You know, I've seen this all over the world where people will actually be in a tough situation and someone will be saying to them, you know, it's just your ego that's worried about this. Don't worry about that. And how does that help that person? Because they are in a real life situation. It's a very insensitive comment and they are not picking their time to apply these phrases in the right context. So in saying that, these phrases, they have some merit, but not when they are insensitively applied, okay? So when we insensitively apply them, then, you know, we are out of sync with each other. We're out of sync with, you know, ourselves actually too. So for example, you know, using such aphorisms like what we've been talking about, when dealing with another person's pain and situation, we'll distance ourselves from their pain and also our own when we act like that. That's important. And also our own. Remember, think about that when we are insensitively applying such aphorisms to other people, you know. And you know, this gets pretty crazy. This also gets into situations that, you know, people start to think that we create everything. Everything in reality is a situation that we created, which also implies that the other person doesn't exist. You know, we've all heard of the ridiculous situations where people will analyze, say, for example, a girl, if she got raped, a lot of people will say, oh, that's just her karma. You know, how ridiculous and insensitive is that sort of comment? People say that she created this situation. You know, what was she trying to teach herself by having chosen to be raped? You know, this is insensitive and disembodied metaphysics. And this is pure spiritual bypassing. And we see this everywhere in the world. People who follow spirituality, they get crazy and they think that, you know, they read too many books like The Secret and they think that we are creating every situation without understanding there's another person in most of these situations. You know, counter to this, we could say the man who raped the girl, what was he trying to learn by raping her? Was this his karma? See, when you put it that way, it's completely psychotic. And someone who has fallen into this sort of hypnosis should really check themselves into a psychiatric hospital, I believe. Because this is not really the spirituality that the East and also the West were trying to promote and expound in the world.